So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to create the soft jaws to hold this sprocket hub after this side has been machined. And so we talked in class about machining this side down to a depth just below this feature here. Then this side here would be placed into some soft jaws into this vise. I provided this vise for you, and I've set up all the constraints so the front jaw can move back and forth. One thing we want to do is replace these hardened jaws though with our soft jaws. So the first thing we want to do is just delete these. And then we want to design in the soft jaw blanks. The blanks are 1 inch by 2 inches by 6 inches. So I'm just going to make a little rectangle that is 1 by 2. And then I'm just going to extrude that out to 6 inches. I don't need to put the mounting holes in there. I can just leave the blank like that. However, there is a front and a rear jaw, and they are going to be different. So we want to save them as different names. So give them a name. I'm just going to go rear jaw for the sprocket hub. And then I'm going to save this again. So I'm just going to go File, Save As, and give it the name as the front jaw so that we distinguish them. And then when we design them, they are different files. So once I have those blanks designed, I need to place them into the assembly. And so I'm just going to place those two files into the assembly. And I want to make sure I place the rear jaw at the back and the front jaw at the front. So I'm just going to do some constraints here. These two are going to be flush with each other here, and these two sides are going to be flush as well. And then the rear jaw is going to be mated here. And this is going to be flush with this side. And the front jaw, I'm going to just move this out of the way a little bit. The front jaw here is going to be mated here. And then finally, we need to get them down a little bit here. You can just do a constraint and put this flush directly against this face. In reality, they're up maybe 10 thousandths of an inch or something, but for what we're doing, it really doesn't matter. We do want them placed though, so that they are flush on the tops with each other and the sides, and then this is flush with this. Other thing that I'm going to do is constrain the two jaws to be 1 inch apart. We're going to clamp on something that is 1 inch thick. Maybe we could stack some parallels together. They're a 1/8 inch thick parallel, so we could stack 8 of those together and clamp on that, or something else that it is 1 inch thick. And we would do that to machine the two parts, or the two jaws out. So once I have that, I definitely want to save this. I'm just going to save it as, and I'm going to put it in I made a separate SoftJaw folder for SoftJaw assignments. And so I'm just going to call this, and then I'm just going to call it the Sprocket Hub. So it's the Kurt Vise with the Sprocket Hub soft jaws. So now that I have this saved, the next thing I want to do is actually place the Sprocket Hub in here. And we want to get it constrained so that it is centered between the two jaws. One way to do that is expand this the origin for the Sprocket Hub and find the plane that bisects the part like this, which is the YZ plane, and I can make it visible by right-clicking and going visibility. Then I can go constrain and make this side here flush with this, and then I can offset that by 1/2 of an inch. It looks like I need to go the other way. Okay, so we have that part. We do need to set this down onto the jaws and then bring it down a depth just under the thickness of this feature. So let's measure how deep this is. From here to here is 0.175 inches. So I'm going to bring it down 0.165. So it's sticking up 10 thousandths of an inch. So I'm going to go constrain this face to this face, and then I'm going to bring it down negative 0.165 inches. 5 to 10 thousandths is fine. Basically, we want to get it as deep into the soft jaws as possible so that the soft jaws are holding on to it firmly. But we don't want this portion to go below this portion because we do need to machine clear down to this face here as we come around. Now, I want to lock this in side to side. One way to do that is find this plane, right-click visibility, and then we can constrain this face here to be flush with that face with some offset. And we can just choose an offset that kind of centers that circular part. So maybe 3 inches. The circle is centered on the vise. I know this part sticks out, so that the geometric center of the piece isn't in the geometric center of the vise, but at least the circular part is. If you would like to bring it back a little bit further like that, that's fine with me. Okay, you just don't want it on one far side of the vise like this. Okay, so 3, 3¼ 3½, somewhere like that is an offset. So now that we have that placed, we can actually hide these two pieces. Just right click and go visibility. And let's save what we have. One thing we want to do is make sure that the vise jaws are now closed because we're going to start editing them individually within the assembly. And to be able to edit them, they need to be closed and not open down here. So now what we need to do is design the jaws with that cutout to allow the sprocket hub to fit in there. So what I'm going to do is right click on this rear jaw and go edit. That option again will not appear if that part is open. So the next thing we're going to do is create a sketch on this face. And then we're going to project the geometry of the bottom of the sprocket hub. So you need to kind of go under here, this geometry right there, onto the jaw of the vise. And then what I prefer to do is just go finish sketch and get out of this editing. So I'm going to go to return. And then I like to open the part individually. It's easier for me to envision the sketch or envision the editing when I'm not looking at the entire assembly. So now I'm going to go back to the sketch. So I'm going to double click on it. We want the cutout to be slightly larger than the actual size of the part. Typically 3 to 5 thousandths of an inch is good. So I'm going to go click on this and go offset, and I'm just going to make that 3 thousandths of an inch. So it's slightly larger. And then what I'm going to do is just create a line. Actually, let me project this geometry, then I don't have to draw that line. Basically, we need to extrude, cut that out. So I'm now going to extrude. I want to make sure that I get this portion and this portion. And of course, we want to cut that, and this hole here. So I'm selecting all of this. And I want to cut, and I want to cut down 0.165 inches. So then I can hit OK. And now that is cut. A couple of things that I recommend that you do is put a slight little fillet on these edges. They don't need to be large. They could probably be 20 to 50 thousandths. Just a slight little edge so it's not a sharp point. And there we go. The rear jaw is now designed. We can double check everything once everything is assembled, but right now things look good. So I'm going to now go save and save that. So now I'm going to close that part, and I need to now edit the front jaw the same way. So right click, edit. I'm going to create a sketch on that top of that jaw. I'm going to project the geometry of the sprocket hub onto the jaw. I'm going to go finish, hit return, and then I'm going to right click and open that front jaw, do the same thing, create a new sketch, or I'm sorry, not create a new sketch, edit the original sketch here, do an offset of 3/1000 of an inch, do a project geometry basically to get this line here so that I can extrude. I want to extrude cut at 0.165. And basically I want everything here. And I want to zoom in and make sure I get this edge here because that's that extra 3/1000. And then I can hit OK. Then finally, we want to do the fillet here and here. And again, between 20 and 50 thousandths is probably fine. Just something to round off that corner so it doesn't get bent and folded over and into this section. And there we go. So we can hit save. And now we have our part resting down into the soft jaws. Some things that we just want to verify is that the jaw definitely allows for this piece to fit in fully, and things look good there. Sometimes when you have sharp points, like triangular points, you actually have to have a little bit of a cutout so that this portion here doesn't get jammed and stuck there. But things look okay there. So now that our soft jaws are designed, the next step will be to do the computer aided manufacturing or the tool paths for the jaws, and I'll have that in a subsequent video.